Welcome to Don't Panic Geocacher, the YouTube series where we explore the exciting world of geocaching and unraveling the mysteries of hidden treasures. I'm your host, Waterfan5, also known as Aryan. And in this episode, we're going to deep dive into the world of mystery geocaches. If you're like most geocachers, you've probably encountered a puzzle that seems impossible to solve. Well, don't panic. That's where I'm here for. And in this episode, we're going to take it a step further by calling on an ultimate problem solver, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a highly advanced artificial intelligence trained to help answer questions and solve problems in a wide range of topics. So if you're stuck on the geocaching puzzle, I'm going to show you how ChatGPT might help you to crack the code and find the hidden treasure. Get ready to join me on an adventure that combines technology and geocaching in a way you've never seen before. Well, if that opening sounded different, that's because I didn't write it. I asked an artificial intelligence tool to write the opening for me. You see here on the screen um, what I asked it to write. So write an opening, and I gave it some information. I'm Waterfan5. I'm hosting this. We talk about mystery geocaches, and I gave him the name of the episode, and I gave it the name of the topic, what the episode is about. And then it created this text, and that's the text I just read verbatim. And that's exactly the topic what of this episode is. I'm going to talk about and see and test ChatGPT and how well it is in solving puzzles. So a little bit more about ChatGPT. What is it? Already mentioned, it kind of introduced itself. It's a large language model developed by OpenAI, and it's designed to answer questions and provide information, as we just heard. Um, that's also how it describes itself. It's currently in a very early stage. It's only recently released, and it's still in what I call a beta stage, testing stage. And um, yeah, we're going to see how it works, right? Unique is that it doesn't tell us how it got the information, but it uses the internet as its engine and then tries to come up with answers. And as you can see, it can write an opening to a YouTube episode. It's pretty smart that way, but as we'll find out, it's also pretty dumb in certain other ways. Still pretty young, call it a child, call it whatever it is. But yeah, let's see how it does with mystery caches. So we're going to test it and see how well does it do if we need to find facts. A lot of mystery caches, you have to find facts. How well does it do if you want to do some research? Lots of geocaches require you to Google a lot of information. It can be very time consuming. Can it help us with that? Got to work with two very specific type of puzzles. Some map calculations. Can it solve some map problems? And can it solve ciphers? I'm going to try to do that. At the end, I have kind of like a special surprise. So stay tuned and please listen to the entire thing, where I'm going to talk about some other things still related to geocaching, of course, and maybe where ChatGPT can help. So yeah, with that, let's get started. So yeah, first topic, finding facts. I came up with some questions that start simple and then get more complicated, and then have also some geocaching related to see, does ChatGPT know geocaching, right? So first one, more of a common fact. What was the first movie that featured Mickey Mouse? Steamboat Willie. Then I'm going to ask a question about a movie, because there's quite a few geocaches that ask questions about movies. So can it answer that? Does it avoid us having to watch the movie? Then some niche questions about Dutch bands and US Billboard charts. I know of two, there might be others, but let's see what ChatGPT tells us about this. And then kind of like a combined question, like what is the largest city in the largest county, the largest state? I recently stayed somewhere where they claimed was the largest hotel in the largest city, in the largest county, in the largest state. It all depends on your interpretation. Largest state technically is Alaska, but Alaska doesn't have counties. So that would then make Texas the largest state. But let's see what ChatGPT and how it answers the question. And then some truly question that is not clear to answer, but like the combined atomic weight of a couple of elements, right? What does it do with that? Certainly, there's not one Google page that will directly have the answer, so it will have to use some intelligence to come up with the answer. See if it can do that. And then something like, when was the first geocache placed? Clear, we know. Just want to test and see, does it know geocaching? Does it understand geocaching? Does it know what it is? And then we'll ask it a more tricky question that is not right away found. You can, of course, find it. People know. And see who placed the second geocache. And see if it can come up with the answer. So yeah, with that, let's put it to the test. What I'm going to do is first do it in Google, so you can see what answers Google would give. That gives you probably the best comparison of how ChatGPT is different and how it might be help you in solving mystery caches. Okay, so let's start our test. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use Google. First have Google answer all the questions, and then I will ask the same questions to ChatGPT, starting with the simple ones and then getting more complicated. So, first movie that featured Mickey Mouse. Google does his night pop-up and says, yeah, I know this. This is a fact. Steamboat Willie is your answer. Congratulations, we're there. So very straightforward. If you need this for a geocache because it asks certain trivia or you need a certain certitude keyword type answer, you can get it very quick. Let's go to the next one. How many tardy slips? It's from Back to the Future, of course. Mr. Strickland, the principal, gives him the tardy slips. And Google, well, it's here's a quote: Jennifer tardy slip. It's Marty's fourth in a row. I'm gonna go with it. The answer is 4, right? So we can find it. So again, if we need it, we can find it in Google, and it will tell us correct. Okay, then we'll go to the Dutch songs. See how it does for that question. Well, I was aware of at least 2. So Google can tell me at least here 1, Radar Love, Golden Earring. But the second one, Shocking Blue, definitely not Dua Lipa, not Imagine Dragons. Kind of like, well, nowhere to be found, right, on the page. So I'll have to do some more digging and find out who is this other one that I'm looking for, right? I have to do some more Googling and hopefully find the answer. Okay, to the next one. So this one, it's a bit of an ambiguous question. Largest city in the largest county in the largest state in the USA. Do I mean by population, by size? Technically, Alaska doesn't have counties, so although it's the largest state, wouldn't really be correct. For Google, it doesn't really matter. It just gives us what is the biggest county in the US, which is nowhere close to the answer I'm looking for, right? So I will have to divide it, and so I'll have to say, what is the largest city in the largest, well, wouldn't know that either. So I would have to divide it into pieces, right? Largest state, Texas, largest county in Texas, Brewster, largest city in Brewster. It probably comes up with the correct information there, Marathon, right? If it was continental. But if it's not continental, it would be Anchorage. So it's a little bit of an ambiguous question, but you saw Google made nothing of it. Then let's look at the atomic weight, the atomic mass. Yeah, here, nothing. So yeah, it gives us an atomic table and says, go figure it out. Fair enough. We get an atomic table, we can figure it out. We can get to the correct answer. Okay, and then some specific geocaching questions. First geocache placed in 2000. May 2000 says then, it's all correct. And then here, May 3rd. We'll get there, right? But we have to kind of look through the pages itself. So yeah, it knows something about geocaching. Does it know who placed the second geocache? Nope, definitely not that person. Not that person. We'll have to dig in one of the pages, right? First 100 geocaches. Most likely I can find the answer there. So that's what Google does. It shows you sources, but you're kind of on your own. It's the way how Google works. Okay, so let's take a look at ChatGPT. So this is the URL, openai.com. You can create an account, it's free. Sometimes it's busy, and that means that you can't get in. You can get an upgraded account, but it's not really necessary. And then this is the opening page where basically you can type your question here, and it gives some examples. It also tells you about the limitations. The biggest limitation that you need to know about is that it has no current data. So it's a beta, so it's still testing it. So that may also affect the output. But more important is that if you ask, for example, when did the Queen of England die, it wouldn't know because it only has data up till 2021. So that is something to realize. But let's try the same questions, right, and see what it does with these questions. So again, we'll start with simple. So what was the first movie that featured Mickey Mouse? And it will come up with the answer. Now you see how it works. It kind of does this teleprompter style where you see it typing. It allows it to think in the meantime. It actually makes these sentences. So it doesn't copy and paste this from a website. It's not a reference site like Google is. It tries to come up with the own answers based on the information that it has. And you get more of like a spelled out type of text in English that it comes up with. We'll see later on, we'll see better examples of how it works. So this one, of course, it has correct. Steamboat Willie was the right answer, so we're good here. So if your geocache required that as an answer, you now have your answer good to go. So going to the next one. How many tardy slips does Marty McFly receive from Principal Strickland? So one too many. Okay. Yeah, so it gives here an answer in the movie, receives his last tardy slip for his travel back. Okay, so it doesn't really give an answer. I do believe the answer is 4, but that might be incorrect. But hey, one too many sounds good too. So yeah, not really much information. We can ask it to regenerate a response, and it will try something new. We can also try to rephrase the question and see if we get a better answer than this. But yeah, this is what it answers right now. This is one thing to realize about OpenAI. You can ask the same question twice and actually get a different answer because it kind of regenerates the answer each time, and there is a randomness factor in there, which sounds crazy when you think about for puzzles because well, there's only one right answer, right? But yeah, the sentences might just flow different, and you make a slightly variant. But if you then rephrase the question, you may get a slightly different answer. If you didn't like the first one. So let's try the next question. Which Dutch band had a #1 US Billboard hit song? Now, there's lots of nuances in this question, um, but there is 2 that for sure have done it, which I mentioned before. Radar Love with Golden Earring, and then Shocking Blue with Venus. There's a few other ones that some shape or form reached #1, but not in the hot Billboard charts, but in the dance Billboard chart. Um, I'm not sure if it will what it will give us. Again, there's some randomness in what we get. So, well, actually, here we go. So we get some more information. Yes, and these are all EDM music, so they've been in the dance top 100. They have been #1 hits. So yeah, pretty complete answer here, and pretty much spot on with at least my information. So now let's go to the next one. Slightly more tricky question where Google didn't really know what to do with it, right? Again, there's nuance in this question because um, Alaska is really the largest state, but really, does Alaska have counties? It divides it. So yeah, you see here it's going with Alaska, and then in the borough, right? Alaska has boroughs, so it interpreted here boroughs as um, counties, and then indeed Anchorage is the correct one. If you strictly go with counties, you'll end up with Texas, and then Brewster County would be the correct answer as the county, and then depending on how you count, Manhattan or marathon or alpine would be the right answer. But this is one of the possible answers. Okay, so did pretty good with that. Let's go to the next one, which was more of a almost like a math question. Google gave us the overview, but didn't answer the question really. So let's see what this one does. Hopefully, it has to think a little bit longer. It does happen sometimes because, especially when it's busy, it may take like a minute or so before it starts typing something. Let's see what it says. That's nice. It gives each one individually, it looks like. So we can sort of verify the answer, or if we do some calculations, we could see if the answer is correct, or see where it went wrong, right? So we have 6 of them. Um, then it tells us, well, we have to add them. That is indeed correct. So, full excitement, will it know how to add numbers together? 365. Yeah, I'll have to verify that one to see if that actually is the correct number. But yeah, there we go. Okay, so that was some of the generic questions. So I did pretty well. So let's go more to the geocaching questions and see what it does. Google came with the right article, but didn't really answer the question directly. And you see, ChatGPT uh, answers the question right away and gives again some of the context that it managed to find out about this information. So, yeah, good there. And then finally, more complicated question: who placed the second geocache? Well, let's see what it does there. This information can definitely be found on the internet. There is articles talking about the second one or placing as a response. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, that is the, as far as I know, the correct answer. This is the person that found the first one and then placed one as a response. So that seems correct. So pretty much it looks like it's all correct. I need to verify the atomic weight one, but by the time I do the presentation, I'll tell you whether it was right or wrong. So yeah, that was just a little bit about facts. So certainly, is it replacing Google? I don't know. Maybe it's an addition to, where maybe you get a more direct answer and see if it gets the answer that you're looking for your quiz. But as I mentioned, it does sometimes give wrong answers as well. We haven't seen one right now, but I'm sure we'll see at some point some very blatantly wrong answers. But yeah, that's just your first introduction, and let's go on with some more stuff. Okay, so by now I've verified the answer as well, and it is indeed 365. So it was correct. So let's move on and go to the next category where we're going to do puzzles. So created 3 puzzles. As far as I know, they're not anywhere else. And the puzzles all allow you to do like some searching. And I'll explain each puzzle individually, and then we'll see how it does with those puzzles. So the first fictitious puzzle, of course I put the solution right here, is where it's called Neighbors. And it gives you certain countries, and the north and the west seem to do slightly different. and it has something to do with neighbors. So the way that this works is that you have to count how many countries are neighboring, how many land borders does it have. So Denmark only borders Germany. Finland borders 3 other countries, if I'm not mistaken. It has Estonia on the other side, but that is not a land border. So anyway, so you need to, for each one, you need to figure out how many land borders they have. So that would be, for all of these, you would have to do 5 Google searches, do some counting, or look at a map, find them on a map. So it requires some research. The west part is trickier because here it gives you 2 countries and it says find the country that matches those. So you have to find out which countries match both Germany and Poland, and then how many neighboring countries they had. So you need to kind of have a list of all of them, or look at the map again and kind of figure out which one could it be, and then look up. So again, you're searching, Googling, looking at a map. Can be quite tricky and time consuming before you get to the right answer. So maybe ChatGPT can help us here. So we're going to try that out. Okay, so I started a new chat session and going to ask it literally the question that we just talked about. So get a list of countries in Europe and get a list of countries in Europe and how many countries they border. Yeah, okay. And let's see what it says, right? So we should get a whole list, of course, because there's quite a few countries in Europe. And so it gives countries, but not the countries they border, which is kind of what we need as well. So we need to slightly rephrase the question because this is good. So we'll stay, because we need that for our thing, right? So we say get a list of countries and how many countries they border and which countries they border. So we'll slightly adjust the question. So here we now have a complete list, and we can use this information from our puzzle, right? So the first one was Denmark. So it asks how many countries does Denmark border. Then it was asking about Finland. And then it was also talking about like Germany and Poland. So in that case, we need to find the country that as the only country borders just Germany and Poland. There's probably more than one country that does that, would be my thought. But here, for example, we see one, the Czech Republic is one that borders, so that's a 4. So our number would be 4, which might in this case be the correct answer for this puzzle. Similar, we can do Denmark. So Denmark borders only Germany, which is correct. I can confirm that. Finland, Russia, Norway, Sweden, so 3. So you see here that it was pretty straightforward to get the answers that we need to solve this puzzle, right? We asked one question, we adjusted our question a little bit, and we have basically in one search, we have all the information needed. Finding this information on Google might be possible. Somebody might have created a nice list like this. We can, of course, look at a map and do some counting. But yeah, this is a much faster and much easier way to solve this puzzle. So I'll stop it from here because we're not really wanting to solve the puzzle here. But it shows you how it can be useful to solving puzzles like this. So here's another one. Kind of wished I published this one because I kind of like this puzzle. It's called Super Bowl Gems, and it's kind of like a double entrante. So it has 2 meanings here. So the gems is like the most valuable player, the MVP, right? And also, of course, gems as in birthstones. So the cache is hidden at this location. And what you have to do here is figure out who are the Super Bowl MVPs, which is the first one, kind of a tricky part of that is basically has a certain birthstone. So basically, which is the first one that has emerald as a birthstone. I think that's January. And then which is the first one that has turquoise, and then which one has one with pearl, and then what is the third one that has pearl. Now this is where it becomes trickier, because to have the third one that has pearl, you need to find out all the ones in between. So the Google searches that you would have to do is find all the MVPs of Super Bowls, find out when they're born, find out what the gemstone is for the month they are born. So you'll be on your way for a while to figure this out. Um, and so here is a puzzle where it requires you half an hour of Googling to find this information, combine it all together. So wouldn't it be nice if we had just a list that tells us all the Super Bowl winners, when they were born, and what the birthstone of their month is, right? So let's take a look and see if it can help. So the next one is Super Bowl gems. Note, I came up with all these puzzles, so they're not actual coordinates of any geocache. Not even sure if they're on land. As far as I know, there's no other puzzles like that. I didn't take an ID from another puzzle. There might be puzzles that use part of this ID, but that's what it is, right? So in this case, what you had to do for the puzzle, that is the gotcha moment that you had to do, is find out the Super Bowl MVP, find out the month that they were born, so it's kind of like Super Bowl gem, the best in the Super Bowl, and then of course kind of like a play on the birthstones, which are also gems. So it gave you the birthstones, and then you have to find out which was the first MVP for the Super Bowl that kind of was born in that month. And I think in one case it tells you the third one, so basically you had to find the third one. So just think about how you would have to do this in Google. You would have to find all Super Bowl MVPs. There's probably a list out there. You have to find all the months that are born. So most likely for each one, you'll now have to do a Google search. Find out when they're born. And then you have to match them up to a list of gemstones for the month. So you have to find a table of gemstones for each month and now kind of match them up. You're probably talking about a half an hour to an hour of work before you have Googled all this together before you can solve this puzzle. So I think this is one of the things where tools like ChatGPT excel, because we're going to just paste exact question, find out the Super Bowl MVPs, and when they were born, and the birthstones of the month they were born. Okay? Yeah. So it will interpret my very short question, I guess, and gather this information. And you see that it's almost instantly, right? We have this teleprompting thing. It will come up with this information. And Bart Star, I know, is correct. That is the first Super Bowl winner. And so on. But you see here, we get nicely the name that are born. And then for each one, it puts the birthstone behind it. So we use this list. Emerald was a 2, which is good. So for our coordinate, we needed a 2. And then we also noted at some point the third pearl. So we see 2 pearls already. And so we need the third pearl as well. So we'll have to just have it generate the list. So it will go on for a while, of course. It will generate all these. We'll have to wait for it to do all that. But you see here that this just saved us an hour worth of Googling information, combining all that information, making sure it's all correct. And then 5 minutes to solve the puzzle after that, right? In this case, that whole hour we now save. For the next one, I didn't even make a puzzle. It was just what is the top 5 largest geocaching events. Note it only has information up to 2021, so the block parties and something like that will be in there, but the celebration event would not be, right? Would be too late. So let's see what it comes back with if we ask it this question. Okay, so let's see how well it can do research related to geocaching. Again, it doesn't have recent information, so we have to take that into account. So asking who has the most caches found, it most likely would tell us that it doesn't know. So, but let's see if we ask it about events and see what it says, right? What are the top 5 largest geocaching events? I know there have been a few gigas, so let's see what it come up with. Okay, Geo Woodstock. Not sure if there were 16,000 people there, but other than that, it's okay. Geo Coinfest. Okay, Going Caching 2019. Yeah, so first of all, it all picked US information, which is interesting because I know there have been some European ones that definitely should be in the top 5. They're not shown here. And it gives the restriction, right? It doesn't have recent information. So I would probably say this information, although interesting, is not correct. 16,000, that's a number that's much higher than I've heard. And again, it misses some of the gigas in Europe that definitely have more than the last 3 mentioned here. It is cool that it does mention Going Caching. I would probably call it a top 5 geocaching event, just based on the way it's organized. And so if you've never been to a Going Caching event, certainly a unique event worth attending. Very mystery cache oriented. So if you've never gone, definitely recommend. If you like mystery caches, it's almost a must go event. So yeah, that was about geocaching events and what it can do. Okay, so the next one is that I would ask it to map calculation. The first one is a simple projection. So we start at a coordinate. I purposely say it like as a crow flies or as a bird so that it doesn't confuse with routing and stuff like that. And then give it a distance and the degrees. And it should end up somewhere around here. The second one is an intersection between two and see what it makes of it, right? See if it understands the question, see if it can do the calculation for us and come up with an answer related to these typical geocaching puzzles. Okay, so let's start with another type of geocaching puzzle um, where we ask it to do something with coordinates. So I'll just first solve it outside of geocaching so that we can see the answer. So we have a coordinate, we have a certain distance, which is in feet, and then we have 12 degrees. And so we see where it ends up, and we see the projection right here, right? Let's take a little bit of a hybrid view. Well, seems to be a spot. Again, this is not real puzzles, this is just made up for this video. But you see the coordinate is still in the 31 range, still in the 32 range. Since we're going 12 degrees, this number is slightly lower, this number is higher, of course. So let's see what our AI tool does with this information. I phrased the question purposely like, where is a bird if it starts starts its path. So I purposely phrased it like that, so I didn't want it to be confused with somebody walking and start doing things with streets and stuff like that. So I just I want to be basically just a plain projection, right? So let's see what it does. So first of all, it recognizes that it's a coordinate and understands geography is involved. Let's see what it does. Okay, converts it to decimal degrees, which is good step. You need to do that. Now it uses here great circle projection, so that wouldn't be very accurate if it came up with an answer. It also forgot to convert my feet, because now in this case, it screwed up. You see here exactly where it screwed up. It didn't convert my feet to nautical mile. That's what it should have done to get approximate. So this coordinate is definitely incorrect. So nice try, but it forgot to do the conversion part. Just making sure it flies. Yeah. So if I had asked the question in nautical mile, I think it would have gotten a pretty decent answer. But it used great circle, so it's not great. But at least it's somewhat understood its assignment. So if they fix this part, I can actually mark it as that it's wrong. So I'm not going to do that right now, but I could do that, and then they know that something is off in this. In this case, the conversion of the unit. So that makes me afraid for the next one, where I was going to ask for an intersection of two. Technically, it's the same thing, right? It's a mathematical assignment. So it's always like I know teachers right now are afraid of doing their homework, and you can definitely see how it can do their homework, right? It gives me the right steps. It makes some mistakes, but you can see how this would be able to do some homework here. So it's correct. It starts converting to the decimal degree format. So that's good. So that's a good step. And then does the equations of the lines. Okay. Technically, again, it would do great circle, which is uh, not 100% correct, but it would give a good approximation. And so I already did the calculations for you. So using the tool that you just saw before. So while it's solving that, it should be somewhere in the 3430 range. Is where it should end up. So let's see if it comes with that. Okay, so it calculated the latitude. Now it's going to do the longitude. Nope, that is not correct. So I think again it screwed up somewhere. I didn't exactly follow here where, but this is not the correct coordinates. We can see. Well, let's just plot it out, right? Let's just do that. So we take where it said would be. So I'm going to clear this. This is, well, let's put this as the third number. So this was the ChatGPT solve. And the coordinates that we gave were this coordinate with 145 degrees. The second coordinate with 280. So we see here the nice lines. This is where the intersection is. So intersection. And somehow it came up with this answer. Curious. Somewhere in here is obviously something that went wrong in the conversion. Conversion, I think, is correct. Let's verify that. So let's go to decimal. So 34512. 345, close enough. And then 538, 530. So something already off here. Oh, sorry, that was the solved coordinates. I didn't look at 522. Yeah, that's correct. So it converted the coordinate correctly. It converted the second coordinate correctly, but then it starts messing up in the math. So yeah, sorry, not a good answer. So for projections and map calculations, doesn't do that right now. Can't use it for that. So ciphers, of course, are commonly used. So I just start with the simplest one. See if it can decode or guess a rod 13, right? Can see if it's can do some magic here. If it doesn't find it, I may try some other variants and see if we can help it a little bit. Say, hey, can you convert this to rod 13? So let's see what it comes up with, right? If we give it an assignment like this, and yeah, see what it does. Okay, so next assignment was more like, can it do ciphers? And try, see what it does with it, right? So I was like, well, let's just give it an assignment. This is a cipher. The first word is north. If you're familiar with geocaching, then it's very quick that you understand. Um, oh, okay. The text that it gives me sounds good. It seems encoded, but definitely that is not the answer. So, yeah, nice try. um, so it suggested that something good, but then it made a complete mess of it, right? Because that was not it. No. um, we could have, what of course the answer was, and maybe we can ask it that. So convert um, with rod 13 cipher. I have no clue, but that's what it is, right? It's a simple substitution. Yep. So to convert this given text, yep, that's all correct. That's exactly how the cipher works. It's doing something. Um, Not bad. I can almost read it. It somehow mixed up the letters. So if I didn't mess it up, which I assume I didn't, then it's close to the coordinate, to the correct coordinates, and probably enough to decode it, but certainly not good. So yeah, ciphers, not really its thing for now, but at least you can see it has a rough understanding of what it's doing, and yeah, we'll see in the future, right? It will only get better. Okay, so we've seen some mixed results with solving puzzles. It can help with some gathering some information. It can help with doing some good research. Actually, that's where it really can be beneficial, saving us some time there. But maybe it can make a puzzle for us. So I just gonna ask it to make me a puzzle first in Telegram style. Then maybe give it a topic, see if it can make it topic related, and then finally see if it can do it in a certain style and see what it comes up with. So I think here you can see the creativity of ChatGPT and how creative can it be when we're trying to do something. So we've seen its capacity into solving puzzles, right? Um, so that made me think, well, can it maybe make a puzzle? So we'll just start very simple. We'll just ask it, make a geocache, make a geocache puzzle, yeah, in the style of a telegram. One of the things that ChatGPT does very well is put things in a certain style. So I thought I would utilize that feature here. There's a randomness to it, so I have no clue what it's going to answer. But yeah, let's see what it does, right? So it needs to know about geocaching, needs to know what a puzzle is, it needs to understand somewhat what geocaching is, right? Knows that it's something to do with coordinates and searching for a cache. It came up with self with a coordinate. It looks Telegram style. It has all these stops in there. Um, kind of seems to make it a field puzzle kind of thing. Look for a church. Okay, so it says a mural of a famous actor at a church. Okay, why not locate a statue of a woman holding a torch? Could very well be a geocache. It's convincing that this could be a geocache, but yeah, it would be a field puzzle, right? So hopefully these things are there. If somebody actually finds where this could be and where this actor of The Godfather is, then I'm very curious and I would love to see that. So yeah, pretty inspirational, I would say, and it came up with some fun text. So let's give it a slightly more complicated assignment. Make a geocaching puzzle that features me and involves the video game The Last of Us. Right, so I'll put it in quotes for it so it knows for sure what I mean here. So The Last of Us, of course, now also a TV show, but it doesn't have current affairs, so it doesn't know about the TV show, but it will know about the video game. So hopefully there's no spoilers in here. um, for it, but let's see what it does. Has to think about it a little bit because it has now combined. Uh, oh, yeah, so this is one of the things that ChatGPT does that I actually don't like a lot. It kind of takes your previous assignments into the next assignment. Um, so um, last time I talked about Telegram style, and it kind of says, well, you probably still want Telegram style. So you kind of can avoid that by starting a new session. Um, yeah, the references here to the game Last of Us are not super inspirational. It kind of used more the previous one. So to avoid that, as I mentioned, we can stop this and we can just kill the entire session and start a new one and now ask the same question. And you can see the difference of what it will do. Oops. There we go. So now it kind of should have forgotten the whole Telegram style, and you see now it no longer has the Telegram point to it. Okay. First by solving the anagram, then a cipher. Okay, cool. Oh, okay, well, this all seems fair. Didn't give us the answer though, so please somebody figure out what the answer of all of this is, and we actually know if it will have made a decent puzzle. But yeah, it's good inspirational. Okay, so let's try one more. I will clear out my cache again and have the one more question that we had. We talked more about pirates this time. Um, so make a pirate-themed geocaching puzzle that involves famous pirates and written in pirate style. So let's go ahead. Well, there we go. Ahoy, my hearty. Search of treasure. Well, we're on the good track, right? So, and again, it's going to make us a poem or something. Um, and a treasure map. Cool. Seems like a terrain 5, an island full of traps. Tricky. Um, you find a locked chest. Keys hidden somewhere on the island. It's multi-guess. So, and there's some swag in there. Okay, sounds good. Still haven't really seen a puzzle to solve. Yeah, so it not really a puzzle this time, other than whatever this riddle is. So maybe more of a letterbox type approach. But anyway, you see what it can do. It doesn't really generate a puzzle for you. Sorry, you still have to do that yourself. But it does give you some interesting flavor text. So yeah, so you've seen what it can do, right? It's still, of course, in an early phase, but it wasn't very good at solving puzzles. But it was pretty helpful in doing some research for you, and it might save you some time there. Especially if you have to do complicated researches, it can come up with some pretty good information very fast. And I use it for that purpose. I've used it for caches where they ask me a lot of questions where I have to combine things about um, all kinds of information, and it allows me to quickly come up with a list that I might be able to use and test a certain theory. Is this the information that I need? It wouldn't take me much longer to do that with Google, so there I've seen a true use of this tool. For puzzles, making puzzles, it's fun. Flavor text, topics, give some ideas maybe. I've had some fun with it and looked at it. I haven't published anyone yet, but I'm thinking about maybe having it come up with one. I just have to ask it the right question and then see if I can make it paste it exactly as it came out, right? Not change a letter. See how far I can get it. Um, That might still be a while away as the matures, but it's an interesting topic, right? So yeah, this video was slightly different than some of my other ones. My other ones go much more into techniques, but I think this was topical, maybe something you didn't know about. So hope it was interesting. If you're interested in solving puzzles and learn more about mystery caches and how to solve them, take a look at the other videos that I have. There's quite a few of them about different topics, maps, ciphers, all kinds of things, techniques. So take a look around, take a look at the videos. There's many hours there. Please like it if you thought this was enjoyable. You can also subscribe. I publish quite frequently about new topics and have at least 3 more videos already lined up that will be coming out in the next weeks and months. If you want to contact me, you can reach me as waterfan5 on the geocaching.com website. Or if you want to send me an email, you can also do that at geocacher.waterfan5@gmail.com. More than happy to hear your feedback. So if you want to leave a comment, feel free to do that as well. And with that, appreciate your time, and hopefully AI won't make puzzles obsolete. Thank you.